See, his first law of motion is that every object in a state of uniform motion will remain in that state of motion unless an external force moves on it or acts on it in some way. It'll keep on being the same unless an external force. That's why you can't deliver yourself. God is the deliverer. He's an external force. He's an external power. He's a divine personality that moves in the lives of his people. We are totally dependent on him. We'll keep on in the same way, same vein, still lying, still cheating, still fornicating, still smoking weed, still doing all the kind of stuff, still doing stuff until an external force, until God delivers you. Until God delivers you, you'll still keep on lusting. Until God delivers you, you have to have it sustained by divine help. God is an external force that has to come and strengthen us and fortify us for us to even be able to do right, for us to even be able to make a change in our life. God has to help us. You know why? Because God is our inspiration. God breathed into man, and then man became a living soul. God is a spirit. A spirit gives life. A soul has to receive life in order to live. But a spirit gives life. God breathed into mankind the breath of life, and man became a living soul, nephesh. But then here we are now. We come and we receive the breath of God. When God inspires us, to inspire literally means to breathe in. To expire means to breathe out. That's why every person, man or woman, boy or girl, when they die, they always expire. They always breathe out. You will always breathe your last, and you never inhale and die. You always exhale and die. You breathe out and die because God breathed in and you lived. And if we're trying to get somebody resuscitated back to life, you got to breathe into them. And so it is inspiring, and some of us are dying on the inside, and we just need the breath of God. We need something to just breathe on us. We're just saying, God, I need you to touch me. I need you to touch me. Because, see, we're just like a balloon. And when somebody speaks words of life to us, the Zoe life of God, when somebody encourages us, it's like they're blowing their breath. And it encourages us. And what happens, I couldn't blow the balloon up. You see, for every cause, you see, there's an opposite reaction. So my lungs, as they were breathing out, were deflating. As my lungs were deflating, the balloon was inflating. See, there's an equal and opposite reaction. I'm breathing out. When I breathe out, my lungs are deflating. But when I breathe in, my lungs are expanding. And so when I breathe out the Zoe life, when I encourage others, and that's why when you encourage other people, sometimes you can be drained because you're breathing out. And so when you encourage people, whether it's a husband or wife, whether it's a mother or father, whether it's a son or daughter, every time that you encourage them and say, listen, you can make it, the Lord is with you. It's like, don't give up in the middle of your trial. I mean, help is on the way. Don't let anybody else's opinion of you reduce the worth and the value of who you are, because that doesn't change you. That our God is a very present help in the time of trouble. You will live and not die and declare the works of the Lord. See, it takes the deflating, and you can't lift somebody unless you're willing to go down. And that's why when the fathers, the patriarchs of old, when they got ready to bless their children, they were on their deathbed, and as they were deflating their lungs, they were inflating their children. They were pronouncing a blessing all around them. They were blowing them up. They were, and I'm not saying blowing up their head, because sometimes their head needs to be, they need to be deflated because they think too much of themselves. But with the right kind of God esteem, we want to let them know who they are in God, that you are the righteousness of God in Christ Jesus. You're defined by what his word says about you and not what you've done in your past. You're letting them know that their future is bigger than their past. And we just keep growing. And so here's the deal. Remember that this third law of motion, there's an opposite and equal reaction for every action. And so what happens as air comes out of the balloon, when I turn the balloon loose, it's going to go up because the air is coming down. And the force of air is coming down, but then it sends the balloon up because there's an opposite and equal reaction. The action was the breath going in it, and it takes it up. You turn it loose, and there are some people that you hold on to that until you turn them loose, my God, they can't even rise to what they need to be because they're held too much under your thumb. It takes faith to turn loose something that you have inflated. It takes faith to turn loose something that you've given birth to. It takes faith to turn something that you have built and turn it loose. But if you turn it loose, it can go higher. The next generation has the capacity to be able to take whatever you have built to another level. That's what they're supposed to do. I'm standing on the shoulders of my daddy and my granddaddy. This is not what I have done myself. What you see and sit in right now is not the work of a man. You are seeing the God of generations, the God of my father, the God of my granddaddy, the God of my great-granddaddy, the God of my great-great-granddaddy. I'm standing on the shoulders of giants. I realize that. It is because they have spoken life into me, and that has helped me to be able to ascend. Even as they have gone down to the grave, I've come up into the purposes of God.